Disgraced comedian. He's waking up behind bars this morning, sentenced to at least 3 years in prison for sexual assault. It was an accusation by Andrea Constand.
He started to stroke my hair back in a petting motion like this. The last things I remember is
If
just...
it's true, we'll never know. I don't think any of us will never know what the truth is. You know, and you're talking about so many.
The Cosby Show, the untold story behind America's most beloved family. They called it America's Family. Every Thursday night, millions gathered around their TV sets to watch the Huxtables. They laughed, they cried, they felt like part of something bigger. But what they didn't know was that behind those smiles, behind that perfect living room, a storm was brewing that would shake the very foundation of everything they believed in. This is the story of The Cosby Show, not the one you remember, the real one. It started in 1984, a time when television was desperate for something new, something different. The networks were losing viewers, sitcoms were dying. And then came Bill Cosby with an idea that seemed impossible. A show about an upper-middle-class black family living in Brooklyn. No stereotypes, no poverty porn, just a family. NBC was skeptical. They'd seen black shows before. They always failed. But Bill Cosby wasn't just any comedian. He was already a legend. The first black man to star in a dramatic television series with I Spy back in 1965. He'd won Emmys, he'd broken barriers, and he had a vision. Are you enjoying this story, The Cosby Show? Then help the channel with your subscription. Look, 94.8% of the people who watch these videos are still not subscribed to the channel. If you are part of that group, take the chance and subscribe now. It's free, and that way you'll keep receiving amazing stories from TV shows we still miss. Oh, and don't forget, at the end of the video, you'll find more stories like this one. He wanted to show America that black families could be doctors and lawyers, that they could live in brownstones and send their kids to good schools, that they could be normal, successful, aspirational. The network executives shifted in their chairs. They asked the question everyone was thinking: will white America watch? Bill looked them in the eye and said something that changed television history. Let's find out. September 20th, 1984. The pilot episode aired, and something magical happened. America watched. White families, black families, Asian families, Latino families, everyone tuned in. Within weeks, The Cosby Show was the #1 program in America. But behind the scenes, something else was happening. Something darker. Let's talk about the cast. Because this wasn't just Bill Cosby Show. This was an ensemble. And every single person brought their own dreams, their own struggles, their own secrets. Phylicia Rashad played Claire Huxtable, the fierce attorney and mother. On screen, she was perfection. Elegant, strong, the kind of black woman television had never really shown before. Off-screen, Phylicia was going through a divorce. Her personal life was crumbling while she played the perfect wife. She'd arrive on set early, rehearse her lines alone, and transform into Claire. But some crew members noticed the sadness in her eyes between takes. Then there was Sabrina LaBeouf, who played Sandra, the eldest daughter. She was a theater actress, classically trained. But she felt invisible on the show. In interviews years later, she revealed something painful. She felt like the producers never knew what to do with her character. Sandra would disappear for episodes at a time. Sabrina would sit in her dressing room, waiting for scenes that never came, wondering if she'd made a mistake leaving theater for television. Lisa Bonet, Denise Huxtable, the free spirit, the cool one. Every teenager in America wanted to be her. But Lisa was struggling. She was young, thrust into massive fame, and she wanted to be taken seriously as an artist. She felt trapped playing the quirky daughter. Tensions grew between her and Bill Cosby. He was a perfectionist. She was rebellious. Some say he saw her as a daughter. Others whisper that the dynamic was more complicated than that. By 1987, Lisa wanted out. She got her own spinoff, A Different World. But even that wasn't enough. She got pregnant with her daughter Zoe Kravitz in 1988, and rumors swirled that Bill was furious. When she returned to The Cosby Show briefly, things were never the same. She was written off in 1991. The official story was creative differences. But those who were there knew it was more than that. Malcolm-Jamal Warner played Theo, the son who struggled in school but had a good heart. Malcolm was only 14 when the show started. He grew up on that set. Bill Cosby became a father figure to him.
But as Malcolm got older, he started to see things, the power dynamics, the control. Years later, in interviews, Malcolm would choose his words carefully when asked about Bill. There was love there, but also something unspoken, something uncomfortable. Tempestt Bledsoe and Keshia Knight Pulliam played Vanessa and Rudy, the younger daughters. They were children when the show began. They knew nothing but that set, those lights, that laughter. Keshia was only 5 years old when she became America's little sister. She didn't understand fame. She just knew that the man who played her TV father was important, powerful, and everyone did what he said. Tempestt has spoken about growing up on camera, about losing her childhood to 12-hour shoot days and script memorization, about tutors on set instead of real school, about watching other kids play outside while she hit her marks under hot studio lights. And then there was Geoffrey Owens, who played Elvin, Sandra's husband. He wasn't a main cast member, but he was there. He saw everything. Years after the show ended, Geoffrey would be spotted working at Trader Joe's. The internet mocked him. But Geoffrey said something profound. "I'm not ashamed of working, I'm proud." He revealed that after The Cosby Show, the work dried up, the money ran out, and unlike some of his castmates, he had to find another way. But let's go back to the height of it all. The Cosby Show wasn't just a TV show, it was a cultural phenomenon. At its peak, it was pulling in 30 million viewers every week. It saved NBC. It changed how America saw black families. Colleges reported that enrollment of black students increased during the show's run. Parents named their daughters Rudy. The Huxtable home became as iconic as any real address in New York. But inside that Brooklyn brownstone set, there were rules. Bill Cosby's rules. He controlled everything, the scripts, the wardrobe, the tone. He demanded excellence. Some called him a genius, others called him a tyrant. Crew members would later describe an atmosphere of fear mixed with respect. You didn't question Bill, you didn't challenge him, you did your job and you did it perfectly. There were whispers, even then, stories that didn't quite make sense, women who visited the set and looking shaken, late-night meetings in dressing rooms. But this was the 1980s. Bill Cosby was America's dad. Who would believe anything bad about him? The show ran for 8 seasons, 201 episodes. It ended in 1992, the #1 show in America for 5 consecutive years. The cast went their separate ways, carrying the weight of that fame, those memories, those secrets they couldn't quite name. Malcolm-Jamal Warner tried to break away from Theo. He directed, he made music, but he'd always be Theo Huxtable to America. Phylicia Rashad became a theater legend, winning Tonys and critical acclaim. But she'd always be Claire Huxtable first. Lisa Bonet carved her own path, marrying Lenny Kravitz, then later Jason Momoa. She refused to talk about The Cosby Show in interviews. When pressed, she'd give cryptic answers about knowing things and feeling uncomfortable. And Bill Cosby? He became even more powerful, more beloved. He lectured young black men about responsibility. He donated millions to HBCUs. He was Dr. Huxtable in real life, with a doctorate in education. He was untouchable. Until he wasn't. A comedian named Hannibal Buress made a joke during a stand-up set in Philadelphia. He called Bill Cosby a rapist. The clip went viral, and suddenly women started coming forward. Not one, not two, 60 women. They told stories spanning decades, stories of drugging, of assault, of a man who used his power to destroy lives. The cast of The Cosby Show was shattered. Some defended him. Phylicia Rashad stood by him, calling the allegations a conspiracy. Others stayed silent. Malcolm-Jamal Warner said he was processing. Lisa Bonet, in a carefully worded interview, said she wasn't surprised. She'd always known there was darkness there. Keshia Knight Pulliam, Little Rudy, cried on TV, trying to reconcile the man who was kind to her as a child with the monster these women described. "He was my father figure," she said. "How do I grieve this?" In 2018, Bill Cosby was convicted of sexual assault. He went to prison. America's dad was a predator. The perfect family was built on lies. The Cosby Show was pulled from syndication, erased from TV schedules.
A cultural monument torn down overnight. The cast members were left to pick up the pieces of their careers, their reputations, their memories. Geoffrey Owens said it best. "We created something beautiful. The show meant something to people. That doesn't disappear just because one man was a monster." But it's complicated, isn't it? How do you separate the art from the artist? How do you hold on to the joy those episodes brought you while knowing what was happening behind the scenes? The Cosby Show taught us that Black families deserve to be seen as fully human. It opened doors for shows like Blackish and Insecure. It changed television forever. But it also taught us something darker, that monsters can hide behind smiles, that power corrupts, that the people we put on pedestals are still just people, capable of terrible things. The cast members are older now. They carry that legacy like a scar. Some have found peace. Others are still searching for it. They gave us their childhoods, their talent, their lives. And in return, they got fame, fortune, and trauma they're still unpacking. Phylicia Rashad still acts, still commands stages with that same grace. But she doesn't talk about Claire Huxtable anymore. Malcolm-Jamal Warner makes music and takes acting roles, but he's careful about what he says and to whom. Lisa Bonet stays quiet, protective of her truth, whatever that is. Keshia Knight Pulliam advocates for children in the industry, trying to make sure the next generation doesn't lose what she lost. And somewhere, in apartments and houses across America, there are DVDs of The Cosby Show sitting in drawers. People don't know what to do with them. Throw them away? Keep them? Watch them? Because that's the real tragedy, isn't it? They gave us something beautiful, something that mattered, and one man's evil poisoned it forever. The Cosby Show is a ghost now, a reminder that nothing is as perfect as it seems, that behind every smile on television, there's a real person with real struggles, that fame doesn't heal wounds, it just hides them under brighter lights. They made us laugh every Thursday night. They made us feel like family. But behind the scenes, some of them were crying, some of them were scared, some of them knew things they couldn't say. And now, decades later, we finally understand. The Cosby Show was never just a show, it was a mirror. And when we look into it now, we see both the best and the worst of who we are, the hope and the horror, the laughter and the lies. They gave us everything, and in the end, it cost them more than we'll ever know.